If you thought the rap game had already reached peak chaos, think again. Because what just happened between Papoose and 50 Cent has the entire internet arguing, laughing, and asking the same question. Did Pap just cross the line nobody was supposed to cross? This is Spill News, where secrets explode before your eyes, and tonight's story might be one of the messiest rap beef moments of the year. It all started with a freestyle. Just a phone, a car, and a beat that every hip-hop fan recognizes instantly, Many Men. But what came out of Papoose's mouth? That wasn't just a freestyle. According to fans, it was a full-blown attack aimed straight at 50 Cent himself. And once that clip hit social media, the internet couldn't believe it. Blogs reposted it. Fan pages dissected every line. Even people who normally stay quiet suddenly had opinions. One comment went viral within minutes. Bro said too much, and they got him. Now here's the real question. If you were in this position, same betrayal, same public disrespect, millions of people watching, what would you do? Stay silent? Fire back? Or escalate things until nobody can ignore it anymore? Because according to insiders, this freestyle wasn't random. It was years of tension boiling over. And trust me, once you hear what allegedly happened behind the scenes, the story gets even uglier. So let's break it all down, because what happened next nobody saw coming. For years, the name 50 Cent has carried a certain kind of energy in hip-hop. Not just music, not just business, but chaos. The kind of chaos where one Instagram post can spark a war, one caption can send blogs into overdrive, and one sarcastic comment can turn into a full-blown industry feud overnight. But the strange thing about this situation is that it didn't start with a song. It didn't start with a diss track. It started with jokes. Small ones. Subtle ones. The kind that float around the internet and disappear before anyone notices. At least, that's what most people thought. Because if you go back a few years, the tension between Papoose and 50 Cent wasn't exactly headline news. It was background noise. A few social media jabs here. A sarcastic caption there. A meme reposted by a fan page that suddenly had people asking questions. And in the middle of all of it, a relationship that kept getting dragged into the drama. Papoose and Remy Ma. Now, for anyone who's followed hip-hop long enough, that relationship has always been seen as one of the most loyal in the industry. Papoose stood by Remy during prison. Interviews praised their loyalty. Fans called them a rare example of real love surviving the music business. But loyalty doesn't mean immunity from trolling. And when 50 Cent trolls someone, he doesn't do it halfway. One post. That's all it took. Some fans still remember it clearly. An old photo resurfaced online, the kind of picture that looks harmless until someone adds a caption. In this case, the caption was classic fifth sarcasm. Something about relationships. Something about loyalty. Something that sounded funny at first, until people realized who the joke might actually be aimed at. The comment sections exploded. Wait, is he talking about Pap? Nah, Fifth just trolling. Bro, he definitely talking about Pap. At first, Papoose didn't respond. Silence. Which, honestly, was probably the smartest move. Because when you engage 50 Cent, you're not just arguing with a rapper. You're arguing with someone who has turned trolling into a full-time sport. And for a while, it seemed like the moment passed. But hip-hop has a long memory. And behind the scenes, according to insiders, things weren't as quiet as they looked. Because while fans were busy debating lyrics and captions, something else was happening online. Screenshots, DMs, rumors. None of it confirmed, of course. But enough whispers were circulating that certain blogs started paying attention. One anonymous industry insider later claimed that a private message exchange between people connected to both camps had surfaced months before the freestyle ever happened. The message allegedly showed someone close to Papoose warning another artist about the constant jokes being made at his expense. The alleged message read, "Pap not laughing about this. Y'all think it's funny, but watch." Now again, nobody ever confirmed that message was real. But it started a narrative. The idea that something bigger was brewing behind the scenes. And then something interesting happened. Early this year, random AI-generated videos started circulating online. Clips mocking different rappers. Some were obviously fake. Some were clearly meant as jokes. But one of them featured 50 Cent in a situation that fans quickly connected back to the Papoose tension. The internet did what the internet always does. Screenshots spread, reaction videos popped up, Twitter threads broke down the drama frame by frame. But through all of that noise, Papoose still stayed quiet, which, if you know anything about rap beef history, is usually a warning sign. Because silence in hip-hop rarely means peace. Most of the time, it means someone is waiting. And that's where the beat comes in. Now, if you've been a fan of rap long enough, you already know the significance of Many Men. That beat isn't just another instrumental. It's part of hip-hop history. One of the most recognizable records from 50 Cent's legendary Get Rich or Die Tryin' era. A song about survival, loyalty, enemies, betrayal. So when someone chooses that beat for freestyle, it's never random. Which brings us to the moment that started this entire internet explosion. It was late evening when the clip first appeared online. No big announcement, no fancy studio visuals, just a short video recorded inside a car. Phone camera, dim lighting, Papoose sitting in the driver's seat with that calm expression he's known for. And then the beat started playing. At first, fans didn't even realize what they were hearing. The video started spreading quietly. A few reposts on fan pages. A couple of hip-hop blogs mentioning it. But then people recognized the instrumental. Wait, that's Many Men. The comments started flooding in. Is Pap really about to rap over 50's beat? Hold up, he wild for this. And then he started rapping. The first few bars sounded normal. Standard freestyle energy. Flow tight. Delivery calm. Nothing too aggressive yet. But as the verse went on, people started catching the references. Subtle ones at first. Lines about loyalty. Lines about respect. Lines about people throwing stones while hiding behind jokes. And then one particular bar made fans rewind the clip. Because suddenly it sounded less like a freestyle and more like a message. Within minutes, the video was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok reaction channels. Even some mainstream blogs picked it up. One tweet that gained thousands of likes simply said, "Pap really just used 50's own beat to send shots." Another comment read, 50 ain't responding to this, right? But the internet never waits for confirmation. Once a narrative starts, it moves fast. And in this case, the narrative was clear. Papoose had finally spoken. And if that freestyle really was aimed at 50 Cent, then the implications were bigger than just a random diss. Because suddenly people were connecting all the dots. The old jokes, the social media posts, the AI clips, the rumors about behind-the-scenes tension. Everything suddenly looked like the build-up to this moment. Of course, not everyone agreed. Some fans argued that the freestyle was just rap competition. Nothing personal, just an MC showing he can rap over any beat. But others weren't buying that explanation at all. One hip-hop blogger wrote, "You don't choose Many Men unless you want people to think about 50. And maybe they had a point. Because within hours of the clip going viral, something else started happening online. Old posts started resurfacing. Screenshots from months ago. Tweets from fans revisiting old jokes. Suddenly, the internet wasn't just talking about the freestyle. They were revisiting the entire history between Papoose and 50 Cent. And that's when things started getting uncomfortable. Because once fans started digging through old posts, they found moments that suddenly looked a lot more serious than they did at the time. Comments that once seemed like harmless trolling. Captions that suddenly felt like hidden insults. Memes that looked less like jokes and more like subtle disrespect. And the deeper people dug, the more the narrative grew. Was this freestyle retaliation? Was Papoose finally addressing years of online trolling? Or was this something even bigger? A move designed to pull 50 Cent into another viral rap feud? Nobody knew for sure. But one thing was certain. The freestyle had already done its job. The internet was talking. And when the internet starts talking about a rap beef involving 50 Cent, the story rarely ends quietly. Because behind the scenes, according to sources close to the situation, people from both camps were already paying attention to the reactions online. Managers, producers, even mutual friends. Everyone was watching the same questions spread across social media. Would 50 Cent respond? Because if there's one thing history has taught hip-hop fans, it's that ignoring drama isn't exactly 50 Cent's style. But what came next, even his enemies didn't expect. Because while the freestyle was still spreading across social media, something strange started happening behind the scenes. At first it looked like normal internet drama. Reaction channels reposting the clip, blog pages asking if Papoose had finally taken a shot at 50 Cent, fans arguing in comment sections like they always do. But within a few hours, the story started getting messy. One hip-hop blog posted a headline that immediately caught attention. Sources say Papoose's freestyle was a direct response to months of online trolling. Now, nobody confirmed that report, but the headline alone was enough to push the story into another level of chaos. Because suddenly people weren't just listening to the freestyle anymore. They were analyzing it. Fans started breaking down every single bar like it was a detective case. TikTok videos slowed down the verse. Twitter threads highlighted certain lines. And one particular lyric started getting repeated everywhere. A line that some fans believed was a clear reference to 50 Cent's reputation for trolling other rappers online. Now, whether that interpretation was accurate or not didn't really matter. Because by the time those debates started trending, the internet had already made up its mind. This was a diss. And the biggest reason people believed that theory was the beat itself. Because using the Many Men instrumental wasn't just bold. It was symbolic. That song is basically part of 50 Cent's identity in hip-hop. It's the soundtrack of his survival story. The song that reminds people of everything he went through in the early 2000s. So when someone chooses that beat for freestyle, especially someone who has history with him, fans immediately assume it means something deeper. And according to one anonymous blog source, that assumption might not have been far from the truth. The source claimed that the freestyle wasn't recorded randomly inside that car video. According to them, the clip was allegedly recorded hours earlier, then uploaded after Papoose's team saw the online discussions building around the tension with 50 Cent. Now again, that claim was never confirmed, but the rumor alone pushed the story even further. Because if the freestyle was planned, that meant the diss might have been intentional. And when that theory started circulating, fans began asking another question. If Papoose was really sending shots, why now? That's when people started revisiting the Remy Ma connection again. For years, the relationship between Remy Ma and Papoose had been praised as one of the strongest partnerships in hip-hop. Interviews highlighted their loyalty. Fans admired how Pap stayed by her side during her prison sentence. Their story was often described as proof that real love could survive the industry. But if there's one thing 50 Cent has never been afraid of, it's poking fun at other celebrities' relationships. Over the years, he's posted jokes about almost everyone. Rappers, actors, athletes. Nobody is really safe from his Instagram captions. And according to some fans, a few of those posts had indirectly referenced Remy Ma in the past. Again, nothing confirmed. Just jokes that people interpreted in different ways. But if you look at the timeline of those posts and then look at the timing of this freestyle, the theory suddenly started making sense to some people online. One viral tweet read, "Pap waited years before responding. That's patience." Another comment said, "Using Many Men beat is crazy. He knew exactly what he was doing." And then came the moment that pushed the drama into overdrive. Because while all of this speculation was happening, 50 Cent himself finally posted something online. Not a diss track, not a long rant, just a photo. The image showed 50 Cent smiling in a courtside seat at a basketball game. Completely relaxed, completely unbothered. But the caption, that's what caught people's attention. "I'm sorry. No response to rappers who can't write a hit to save their lives." Moving right along. The internet exploded. Because even though he didn't mention Papoose by name, fans immediately assumed the message was directed at him. Within minutes, the screenshot was everywhere. Hip-hop blogs reposted it. Reaction channels started recording commentary. Twitter spaces filled with people arguing about what it meant. Some fans laughed. Fifth said he not responding. Others weren't convinced. Bro, he literally responded by saying he not responding. And honestly, that's classic 50 Cent strategy. Instead of releasing a diss track, he turns the moment into trolling content. A caption, a meme, A sarcastic joke that spreads faster than a full song ever could. But the situation didn't stop there. Because once that caption went viral, people started revisiting something else that had been circulating online earlier that week. A short video clip showing Papoose reacting to criticism from bloggers. In the clip, Pap looked calm, almost amused, but the words he said caught attention. "I stand on everything I say." That line started trending alongside the freestyle. Now the narrative online had officially split into two camps. One side believed Papoose had just delivered one of the boldest freestyles of the year, challenging a rap legend on his own beat. The other side believed 50 Cent had already won the moment by refusing to take the bait. And as the debate grew louder, more voices started jumping into the conversation. One hip-hop podcast host commented during a live stream, "This is the smartest move Pap ever made. You don't need a full diss track. Just remind people you can rap." Another blogger had the opposite opinion. Fifth built his whole career on beef. If he responds, this could get ugly. But just when fans thought the drama had reached its peak, something else appeared online. A short video clip resurfaced showing Papoose playing a character in a movie scene years earlier. In the clip, his character was portrayed as cooperating with authorities during an interrogation scene. Normally, that wouldn't mean anything. Actors play all kinds of roles. But in the middle of a rap feud, the internet has a way of twisting context. Someone posted the clip with a caption suggesting it proved hypocrisy in Papoose's criticisms of other rappers. Within minutes, the clip was trending. And just like that, the focus of the conversation shifted again. Now fans weren't just talking about the freestyle. They were debating street credibility, past comments, and loyalty in hip-hop culture. And when that clip started spreading, Papoose finally responded online. But not with anger. Instead, he posted a message that many fans interpreted as pure sarcasm. "Yak, that was acting. Maybe you want to roll in my next movie." The internet lost it, because suddenly the situation wasn't just a freestyle versus a caption anymore. It was a full-blown online back and forth between two rappers with completely different styles of conflict. Papoose was rapping. 50 Cent was trolling. And the audience? They were watching every second of it. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. Pap fighting with bars. Fifth fighting with memes. But the deeper fans dug into the history between these two artists, the more complicated the story started to look. Because long before this freestyle ever existed, there had been tension connected to another controversial figure in hip-hop.
6ix9ine.
Back in 2023, when Kodak Black collaborated with 6ix9ine despite the snitching allegations surrounding him, several artists spoke out. One of the most vocal critics at the time was Boozy Badass, who publicly questioned the decision. But behind the scenes, according to industry chatter, the situation also sparked conversations between other artists who felt the culture was changing. Some believed loyalty didn't mean what it used to. Others believed the internet had turned rap beef into entertainment instead of competition. And somewhere inside that complicated environment, tensions between Papoose and 50 Cent kept simmering quietly, until that freestyle brought everything back into the spotlight. But just when fans thought the story had reached its peak, another name started appearing in the conversation. And that's when things got even more complicated. Because the moment that name surfaced online, the narrative around this freestyle suddenly changed. And once that happened, the fallout became impossible to control. But just when we thought it was over, another name came up. And the moment that name started trending online, the entire conversation around the freestyle changed again. Because suddenly the internet wasn't just arguing about Papoose and 50 Cent anymore. They were talking about Remy Ma. Now, anyone who has followed hip-hop culture long enough already knows why that name matters in this story. For years, Remy and Papoose were considered one of the most solid couples in rap. Interviews highlighted their loyalty. Fans praised their bond. Pap was often described as the man who held things down when nobody else would. But when rap beef enters the picture, personal lives have a way of becoming public conversation. Within hours of the freestyle going viral, fans began revisiting old posts and interviews. Clips resurfaced from podcasts. Screenshots from fan pages started circulating again. And suddenly, the internet was connecting dots that most people had completely forgotten about. One old tweet resurfaced where a fan had joked about 50 Cent trolling Remy Ma years earlier. At the time, nobody took it seriously. It was just another moment in the endless stream of rap gossip. But in the middle of this new drama, the context suddenly felt different. Another comment began spreading on Twitter. Maybe Pap been waiting for this moment, and the theory started growing. According to fans online, the freestyle wasn't just about rap competition. It might have been about respect. Respect for his name. Respect for his relationship. Respect for the idea that certain jokes eventually stop being funny. Of course, nobody could prove that theory. But the internet doesn't need proof to build a storyline. And once that storyline started circulating, the reactions became impossible to ignore. One reaction video that went viral showed a group of hip-hop fans listening to the freestyle for the first time. At first, they were laughing, nodding to the beat, enjoying the flow. But when they reached the line everyone believed was directed at 50 Cent, the room went silent. One guy leaned back in his chair and said something that quickly became a meme. Pap really went there. Meanwhile, hip-hop bloggers were trying to figure out whether the situation would escalate further. Because history had already shown that when 50 Cent is involved in a feud, things rarely stay quiet for long. But interestingly, the silence continued. No diss track. No long Instagram rant. Just the occasional sarcastic caption that fans kept interpreting as subtle shade. And that silence created a strange tension across social media. Because some people believed 50 Cent was deliberately refusing to give the freestyle attention. In rap beef strategy, ignoring an opponent can sometimes be more powerful than responding. But others believed the opposite. They believed 50 Cent was simply waiting for the perfect moment to respond. And if that moment ever came, it could turn this viral freestyle into something much bigger. But the real twist in this story wasn't just the rap drama. It was the emotional side of it. Because as the debate continued online, people began talking about something deeper than music. They started talking about legacy. 50 Cent is a rap legend, a businessman, a media powerhouse, someone who built an empire far beyond music. Papoose, on the other hand, has always been respected for a different reason. His lyricism, his loyalty, his reputation as someone who stands on his principles. So when these two personalities collide, the conversation becomes about more than just bars. It becomes about what hip-hop values most: respect, authenticity, and the idea that reputation still matters in an era where everything becomes content. But behind all the memes and debates, there was another layer to the story that most people ignored. Because according to insiders close to both camps, the artists themselves weren't nearly as dramatic about the situation as the internet was. One anonymous source connected to a recording studio in New York reportedly told a blog that the tension between both sides had always been exaggerated online. They don't hate each other like the internet thinks, the source claimed. It's just rap. Now, whether that statement is true or not, nobody really knows. But it highlights something interesting about the modern rap industry. Sometimes the biggest conflicts don't happen in studios. They happen in comment sections. Because the internet loves drama. And once a story starts trending, the narrative often becomes bigger than the reality behind it. Still, that doesn't mean the freestyle didn't have consequences. For days after the clip went viral, hip-hop media continued debating the same question. Did Papoose just revive a dormant feud? Or did he simply remind everyone that his pen is still dangerous? Some fans praised him. Pap just reminded people he can rap better than half the industry. Others defended 50 Cent. Fifth already won. He got people talking without even dropping a song. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, the original freestyle kept gaining views. Millions of them. Which raises another possibility. What if the entire moment, the freestyle, the captions, the reactions, was simply another example of how modern hip-hop drama works? Not just competition, not just conflict, but attention. Because attention is the real currency of the internet. And in that sense, both artists may have already won. Papoose reminded people about his lyrical skill. 50 Cent reminded everyone why he's still one of the most talked about personalities in hip-hop. But the real mystery isn't what happened during the freestyle. The real mystery is what happens next. Because rap history has taught us one important lesson. Sometimes the quietest moments come right before the biggest response. And if 50 Cent ever decides to step back into the booth to address the situation, the internet might witness something even bigger than a viral freestyle. Until then, the story remains unfinished. A freestyle, a caption, a debate that refuses to disappear. And somewhere in the background, two artists watching the internet argue about them. But as quickly as the clip appeared online, the frenzy around it began fading into the endless cycle of new controversies, new headlines, new beefs, new viral moments. The freestyle remains on the internet, frozen in time, a reminder of the moment when one rapper chose a legendary beat and turned it into a message. Whether that message was personal, competitive, or simply strategic, the debate may never truly end. Because in hip-hop, stories like this don't always have clear conclusions. Sometimes they just linger in the culture, waiting for the next verse, the next caption, the next unexpected twist. And maybe that's the real lesson of this entire situation. Rap beefs rarely disappear. They just go quiet until someone decides to speak again. And when that moment comes, the internet will be ready. Because one freestyle was enough to shake the conversation. But the next response, if it ever happens, could shake the entire industry. And somewhere out there, fans are still replaying that clip, waiting for the next chapter. Because the internet never forgets. And neither does hip-hop. And when you step back and look at everything that just happened, the real question isn't just about a freestyle. It's about what it means for the culture.
Because think about it.
A simple video recorded inside a car, a legendary beat, a few bars that fans believe were aimed at one of the biggest names in hip-hop, and suddenly the entire internet is arguing again. That's the power of rap drama. One moment can reopen years of tension. Some fans say Papoose proved he still has one of the sharpest pens in the game. They believe using the Many Men beat wasn't just bold, it was strategic. A reminder that even in an era of viral trolling and social media captions, bars still matter. But others think the real winner might still be 50 Cent. Because without dropping a single track, without stepping into a booth, he managed to keep the entire internet talking just by posting one sarcastic caption. And honestly, that's classic Fifth. So now the biggest question remains unanswered. Was that freestyle just a lyrical flex, or was it the opening shot of a bigger war? Because if 50 Cent ever decides to respond, not with a meme, not with an Instagram caption, but with music, then this story could explode into something the rap world hasn't seen in years. And if that happens, trust me, the internet won't be ready. But now I want to hear your opinion. Do you think Papoose really destroyed 50 Cent with that freestyle? Or was this just another moment of internet hype? And more importantly, should 50 Cent respond? Or is ignoring it the smartest move? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this debate is only getting louder. And if you enjoy breaking down rap drama, industry secrets, and the stories nobody else is talking about, make sure you like the video and subscribe to Spill News. Because this situation might not be over yet. There are already rumors of more reactions coming, more posts surfacing, and possibly even another response that could change everything.
So stay tuned.
Because in hip-hop, the quiet moments never last long.